Hello there and a very warm welcome to another exciting edition of the program. I am Victor Matthias. Now, India and modern China, to mention just a few, were able to free themselves from the shackles of underdevelopment because they launched a deliberate and devastating war on corruption. One of the factors that have put Nigeria far from these countries in terms of development is corruption. And that will be our focus, amongst other things, on the program today, specifically the fight against corruption, the economy, and other factors that will shape the year 2016 for Nigeria. But first, let's take a look at the trending topics in the past week. Nigeria's Twitterati turned their attention to the supplementary elections held in Bayelsa State, as polls were conducted in the areas where it was hitherto declared as inconclusive. Nigeria's president was also on the fingertips of Nigeria's Twitter community, as 3 hashtags in 3 days consecutively were created in support and against his form of governance over 6 months after taking office. Those were the trends, but let's meet our online contributors. First, let me start by welcoming all of you on board. Thanks for joining the program.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Victor.
Alex, let me start with you. What factors do you think will shape Nigeria this year?
As a young Nigerian, the expectations are obvious. Nigerians have just come out from an election year that is filled with a lot of promises. A new government and a new administration that Nigerians are looking up to and expecting a lot from. And as a young Nigerian, my expectations are a government that will consolidate on what it has started, the fight on corruption, the sustenance on agriculture, a lot across the sectorials, from wide-ranging reforms from educational to the real sector, the banking sector. So gradually the expectations are there. And as a young Nigerian who is just coming back into the country, I am of the belief that with the recent trend and what has been recorded in the past few months of this administration, I think the administration is consolidating that gains. And the year 2016, though with stiffer economic policies, Nigerians will definitely have to adjust to some austerity measures, because this is not just Nigeria facing it, but it's generally a global trend. So I feel, as a young Nigerian, the hopes are there. I'm very optimistic that the government will obviously muscle up, face up the challenges, and gradually will stabilize to a position whereby we'll find ourselves in comparison with other communities of nations in the world.
On the issue of corruption in government, I think the administration of President Buhari has achieved and is achieving quite a lot. As a first step, I think we are all aware that the implementation of the Treasury single account has reduced quite a tremendous amount of leakages in government, and it will go a long way in effectively controlling government cash balances. So the fight against corruption, insecurity are 2 major things that must be taken care of before we proceed to other aspects of the economy. But we should not allow ourselves to focus too much on this, so that we will be doing this at the expense of looking at other sectors of the economy.
I sincerely share in the views of Mohammed. In my views, I think the government should actually prioritize more on terms of education, because when you build the capacity of the younger generation, you build a nation. I'm convinced with that, and I believe the government is also looking in that direction, because when you look through the budget presentation by the President Muhammadu Buhari, you discovered a huge chunk was actually allocated, the lion's share was actually allocated to the education sector in the tone of about 396 billion naira out of the 6.08 trillion budget presentation he made to the joint session of the National Assembly. I also think another critical sector the government should actually look into is in the area of the health sector. People will be looking at wide-ranging health reforms that will cater for the welfare of people. You know, how well can the present administration consolidate on the gains of reducing child's mortality rates and primary health care, because that is actually the basis. When people in the rural areas can actually get good access to good quality health care medications, I think it will go a long way.
The private sector is meant to provide jobs for teaming unemployed young people. We want to see policy where we would see more social enterprise that would spring up. In Lagos today, we have organizations like WeCyclers, Recycle Point, who transform waste to wealth and have been able to create jobs for teaming unemployed young people in Lagos State. Why can't we have a national framework around recycling in Nigeria, so that in every state we would have social entrepreneurs who would spring up and provide jobs? Access to finance is one key thing, because one challenge that young people who are young and who are running businesses are having, one key challenge is access to loan and finance to finance their businesses.
All right, just hold your thoughts for a minute. We'll come back in a moment and continue shortly. Stay with us.